Non-Americans who have been to the US, what is the weirdest thing about America that Americans don't realize is weird? The amount of commercial breaks in a TV show. Hawaiian here, but I never noticed that we didn't have billboards until I moved out of Hawaii. Turns out they're illegal. So that's weird. It's awesome, 'cause I get unobstructed views, but still weird. They are also illegal here in Alaska. When I moved to Florida for a while last year, I realized how much I like not having them everywhere. Us, Vermont and Hawaii are the only ones with the ban on billboards. I never appreciated it till I visited relatives in the lower 48 and it's fugly billboards as far as the eye can see. I'd rather look at miles of boring cornfield instead of ads. Lol at it. Also as 300 people commented. But how will you know you're only 86 miles away from south of the border or wall drugs? That there are a lot of squirrels. Went to the zoo with a Polish girl once and was super surprised when she found the squirrels more fascinating than all the large animal. I've seen busloads of tourists from China, Japan, etc. unload near where I work, and the crowds of people who would gather around a stupid squirrel sitting on a tree was amazing. Some of the more aggressive photographers would follow the squirrel taking pictures. I wanted to tell them that squirrels are a dime a dozen, but why spoil their fun? The tourist thinks it's a special thing they are seeing, so let it be. Yeah, I get that. I recently had a similar experience, I think. I was eating breakfast in London and I happened to look up right as a fox trotted across the sidewalk in front of our hotel restaurant. My mind took a moment to process what I had just seen, and then I started talking about it with my wife. She didn't believe me, and thought I must have just seen a dog. I looked around us and the guy next to us just rolled his eyes like we were being impossibly dense for thinking a fox was anything special to talk about. Duck it. I still think it was cool. Some European told me that it's crazy how restaurants are loud and busy and how people eat quick and leave. For him it was normal to sit around and talk for an hour or more after eating in a restaurant. The concept of pharmaceutical advertisements. Your doctor is supposed to recommend drugs to you, not the other way around. Edit. Thanks for the silver, strangers. I've seen these my entire life and I still think they're ducking weird. Side effects may include everything going horribly wrong and death. Ask your doctor today. Is that the point where the lawyer ads come in? Sue your doctor today. In Germany, how are you? Is an actual question and you generally only ask it if you know the other person. It was super hard to explain to my mom that the answer is always fine, thank you, and that cashiers don't really care about how you actually feel, when we visited the US in '08. Even though such greetings are very common in the US, most Americans I've met have been confused by a similar phatic expression we use in the UK, are you alright? Which can also be shortened to you alright? Or alright? The expected response is to just ask the same question back, alright? Alright? However, most Americans I've met will start panicking thinking that something looks wrong with them, because they'd only ask that question if someone looked sick or upset. But if he says, alright, 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 he may try to sell you a Lincoln and electricity. Free refills. Went to a restaurant with my dad, both German, and all of a sudden the waiter took away my drink with another perfectly good sip in it, and I must have looked pretty shocked. It was only then when my dad explained to me that you guys have free refills. I just studied for 6 months in Germany, and this is what I missed most. It was a challenge to find water for free at many restaurants, and if I ordered a drink it was the same price as in the US and I got very little. The reason we have free refills is that drinks come in large containers of syrup that get mixed with the water and carbonation in a fountain on site. At fast food restaurants, it costs the restaurant more to provide you with a cup than the liquid that they order in bulk. This makes unlimited refills feasible, versus the individual glass bottles everyone in Europe is serving. Edit. As many people have pointed out, companies could still make more by charging for refills. My explanation explains how they can still make a profit by offering unlimited refills. Some people have pointed out that the reason we offer refills has to do with sugary drinks increasing appetite leading to more food consumption. Edit 2. With regards to the glass bottles, I am speaking mainly about restaurants you sit down at, not McDonald's and other fast food. I realize everywhere in the world is fountain drinks, however they're not as common as they are here. Interesting. Never knew why we didn't actually have the concept of free refills. I also must admit that whilst I do think it's okay to have to pay for non-water drinks like Coke etc., I find it absolutely fascinating that here, In Germany, they usually literally charge you for every single drop of non-sparkling water that they are just getting out of their water tap as well. It's rare that water is free included. That was my least favorite part about my experience, paying for water. There weren't any public drinking fountains or really any way for me to get free water, other than the tap in my house. Here, water is a right. You can walk into any fast food place and ask for a water cup, fill it up and leave. The public parks have water fountains so you can stay hydrated. But seeing as that was the worst problem I had, I love Germany and I can't wait to go back. There is another thing here in Germany that becomes more and more common, that is just as wrong in my opinion. Paying to use a public toilet. I mean, if I'm at a train station, what's the alternative? Do they expect me to pee in front of it if I don't have money? But the worst part, the toilets have opening hours. It's a little thing, but it's so very stupid and annoying and greedy that it makes me furious whenever I think about it. Water and the use of toilets are things that should be free for everyone at it. As Ashikil pointed out, you get a coupon after using the toilet so that your money isn't completely lost. That's a good thing, but at least where I live I have to pay $1 to use the toilet, get a 50-count coupon which I can use when I purchase something for at least $2.50. This is somehow just provoking for me, so I forgot to mention it. Sorry. I live in the south and one time I was hanging out with a friend smoking by a lake in late spring early summer. He was Egyptian and had just moved here over the winter. All of a sudden he freaked out saying he was seeing weird lights in the trees. I thought he was too high or something before I realized he meant the lightning bugs. He'd never seen them and didn't know what they were, so I started catching them and he was mind blown that they were just a normal seasonal thing. My ex was a native of Colorado and one summer night was completely awestruck by the lightning bugs, that myself as a native Nebraskan just took for granted. Crazy how drastically different places in the US can be. I grew up in California and moved to the south. I knew of lightning bugs but never saw them till I moved. A few years later or so my sister came to visit me and was totally mesmerized by the lightning bugs, asking me what was doing that. I had gotten used to them by then and it took me a moment to remember we didn't have those back home. When you have ads for drugs and half of the ad is telling you how the drug will kill you while also showing puppies. It's weird. Side effects may include, proceeds to list side effects worse than the issue. Oh, you have allergies, well take this medicine. Side effects may include runny nose, itchy eyes and possibly death. Among the side effects I have seen, anal leakage and random gambling, although not in the same medication. How far apart everything is and how little is within walking distance. Location dependent, but I moved to a suburb in the Midwest as a kid and everything was so far away. Without access to a car, and without reliable public transportation, it was pretty much impossible to get to a friend's house, unless they lived on your street or something, or go anywhere fun as a kid without relying on parents for a ride. Maybe things are different now with Uber and whatnot, but back then it felt pretty isolating. That's why the 80s look and Stranger Things aesthetic of a group of kids on bikes is so prevalent. For a lot of folks it's the only way to do anything as a kid. Stranger Things bikes are completely on point. That is exactly how my friends and I got around the neighborhood every damn day for anything and everything. Edit, for those who PM'd me, this was the late 1980s, mid 1990s. I couldn't even ride a bike around as a kid. In my early childhood, my parents moved to an apartment complex that had newly opened at the time. The only one within miles of anything else. It was projected that others would eventually open up in the same area. Except it never happened. Across the street is a Target, and everything else is car dealerships. There's more residential areas behind the complex, but the owners weren't willing to pay for a bridge that would have been needed to cross a stream. The only exit to the complex eventually led to a 5-lane road that my mom would never dare let me cross even on a bike. So basically this apartment complex was surrounded on all sides by things that wouldn't let kid me ride a bike even if I wanted to. Canuck here. Ads on TV for medication. Billboard ads for lawyers. Ads for hospitals. TV ad for lawyers as well, was there recently, and an ad for a lawyer specializing in molestation cases came on. Have you been touched by a priest or your uncle? Call us today. Wait. What?